Hello, everybody. Spider here once again, coming to the podcast, being joined by Wade Simmons. My man, how you doing, sir?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Man, I am in Texas, and I'm doing great, man. I mean, of course, you're not in Texas, brother. You said you're out there in Chicago, man. Where about?
Yeah, so I'm in Chicago Heights, actually. That is the south suburbs, right outside Chicago, but I'm actually originally born and raised on the west side of Chicago. Kind of spent a lot of time in the Heights when I was younger, too, because my grandparents had a house out here, but we lived in the city. So kind of not new to this area either, been here quite a while. But it's kind of nice. Got a chance to get the best of both worlds. But
Yeah.
I'm Wade Simmons from Chicago. I'm an independent filmmaker, funeral service worker, former pro wrestler trainer. So a jack of all trades and a master at none of them. But
Yeah,
just
brother.
taking life one day at a time.
No, no, and man, it's funny you say that, man, because the first time I heard that, I think somebody was saying like, oh, you do a lot, but you're not, and I'm the same way. I'm trying to see what it works. I'm trying to see, I'm enjoying everything I'm doing along my journey. But at the same time, like, people ask me like, oh, you want to do this or you want to be an actor? And I said, man, if acting's where I fit in, then that's what I want to do. You know what I mean? Like I'm putting 100 into everything I'm doing, but like I do BTS, I do media, I do a little bit of everything, man. It's kind of like what you have to do these days, just because networking helps. I get to know a lot of people,
Absolutely.
meet people like yourself from outside the state, and who knows, man? Maybe I'll be out there filming one day, and I'll call you. I'll be like, "Hey, man, what's up?"
Yeah, man. Look, it's connection is everything. Like I know that we live in this kind of new world where we're using a lot of more technology. I mean, there's a downside to it, but I think on the bright side, a lot of us wouldn't know the people we know had it not been for things like Facebook and social media. So I tend to kind of focus on the positive side of it. I
Yeah.
think everything is kind of perspective and how we look at it. So as long as we use these things responsibly and make connections, I think it's a beautiful thing.
No, no, for sure, man. I mean, I tell people. I mean, I'm 51, bro, but I had a zine in the 90s. I used to interview bands from all over the world. I used to write letters, bro. I used to type and then send them off and wait like 3 weeks for them to write back. And here we are, man. Click of a button. It's like now it's like you
Absolutely.
said it, but that's it saves time and it makes it easier too. I mean, when I started this whole podcast gig, man, like I had a studio, at a gym downtown here in San Antonio,
All
and
night.
it was, yeah, bro. It was like, I mean, my buddy, at the time was like, yeah, man, you can use it, and I was like, okay, like I was doing combat sports, which I still do, but it was more it was scheduling because people were like canceled, like, oh man, I can't make it out, or hey, I'm doing. And so after a while, I was just like, man, streaming's the way to go, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people were busy. I mean, they have work, they have school, they had all these things going on. And so I just started like doing streaming. And then after a while, I was like, well, I don't need the studio, So I let them, I told them thank you. And I was just like, man, if it was something that I could have utilized even more, by all means, I just didn't want to take up space.
Yeah, that's true.
But
You
yeah,
gotta.
bro, I mean, but when it comes to, like you said, the jack of all trades, man. I mean, what came first, man, when it comes to what you're doing now?
So actually, the funny thing about it is, I had been doing all of it since I was very young because I've been writing and creating characters since I was a little child. I've always had interest in being in the funeral business, but as far as my career wise, what ended up happening was when I was a senior in high school, my teacher, Miss Anderson, she called one of the local funeral directors in Chicago and said, I got a young man who wants to be a funeral director. And so she called him and he told me, he said, hey, have him show up in a gold tie, white shirt, black suit. And so it started like me doing like a volunteer internship. And then I ended up working for the firm.
Bro.
And so I just stayed there. And, it kind of took me a little time to get to mortuary school because I went to college right away, but I
Yeah.
had to take like a lot of prereqs and, kind of had a few ups and downs. And so by the grace of God, I finally got into mortuary college. And then when I went to mortuary college, man, it was extremely hard. And I didn't know if I was really going to make it out. So by the time I finished mortuary college, I'm like, man, we had to take these exit exams. And so I'm like, if I don't pass this exit exam, then like I know I went to school and everything, but it's like, only thing is I just went, so I gotta figure something out. So I looked at plumbing. I flew down to Vegas to work with my uncle because my family there in the plumbing business. And I'm like, this is my family thing. kind of not my thing. So I came home, had a little talk to God, like, look, if I'm gonna go back to school, I'm gonna do something that I like.
Yeah.
And so I ended up choosing film school. And right when I went to film school, the funny thing happened. I passed the funeral director part of the test. And then after I graduated film school, I ended up going back and finishing the embalming side of it. So man, it's just things kind of didn't work out until I started pursuing both. But I've been in the funeral business now going on 16 years. I've been
Wow.
working in film almost 9 years, and I've been affiliated with the pro wrestling industry almost 6 years now. So time is just moving, man.
No, 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 for sure, man. And I gotta ask you, I mean, when it comes to embalming, I mean, working at the as a funeral director, bro. I mean, does that come from family? I mean, what's did you already have
No,
family doing that? So
not
where
at
does that
all.
come from? Where does that come from?
Uh, so I think growing up as a child, I remember like we was at a church convention some years ago, and I almost drowned. And I had like I don't want to say like an out of body experience because I don't remember if I left my body now, but I remember saying like I saw angels in the water like fighting, and it's kind of cool, kind of weird, all kind of the same thing, but I don't remember it all the way. But I know whatever it was enough to convince me that God is real. And from that, I think that it kind of got me interested in working in the funeral business. So I just, said I wanted to do it as a child, and I went for it. And it was really hard. Man, it was times I'm just like, you know what, why do I want to do this? But by the grace of God, I got a chance to finish and everything. But I'm gonna be honest, like there have been points in my life where like I thought about just completely getting out of the business. Just because, like, don't get me wrong, like it's a great field,
Yeah,
meet a lot of people, but I've kind of had a few negative experiences as well. But for the most part, it's like every time I try to get out of it, something reminded me of why
right.
I got into it. So it's like you can't run from it. It's just you
No, no,
know
for sure, man. You see, I thought maybe it was something that you had seen that you were thinking, okay, well, this, this could have been done better, or you know what I mean? Because I mean, I
Oh yeah, yeah. I've seen that too as a child because my mom would tell me like a lot of time we'd go to the funerals. I'd be like, why does this person look like this and look like that? So I think to me, like if you're gonna be in that business, you definitely have to have a passion for it.
yeah,
I know a lot of people be looking at like, man, they make a lot of money, but that's not always true. Sometimes you actually give a little more than you take,
yeah,
and I think a lot of people don't understand that, but it's a great business. I mean, it's great because, like I said, being in that business, I've met so many people, from everyday people to some celebrities. To me, everybody's just a person. I treat everybody the same. I think people are people because all of us are somebody, and we all have families. But the one thing that I look about, like with death, it brings people together. I always say that it's nicer when families come together for a birthday party, or just like because I got my neighbors across the street, Mr. Adam. I love the fact that him and his family, they get together a lot, and I love seeing that. Like, and they always invite us over, like, come on over, and hang out with us.
that's cool,
And
man.
I think that's a good thing. Like I love to see people get together, kind of more for like a good occasion,
Right, right.
not just in death, because I mean, I know we all have to leave here one day, but it's just like it's nice to be there for people in life.
No, no, for sure, man. I had my mom leave this world last year, man, and her thing was like she didn't want to have a funeral. Her thing for me, it's kind of the same way. Like I'm like, you know what? I want people to see me when I'm alive. Come
Absolutely.
hang out with me when I'm kicking, man. I said once it's done, like I don't want people see. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't make sense for me personally. But my mom thought the same way, and that's kind of like for me. I'm like, you know what? Like I mean, there's like 8 of us, man. I mean, we're a big family. And I was talking about this earlier, but I mean, I don't hang out with my family like that. Everybody has their own lives, their own things. I mean, I don't drink anymore. I don't do there's a lot of things I don't do, and it's just I don't put myself in situations,
I
anymore.
understand. Yeah.
Like I don't go to parties, I don't go to bar. It's just
Yeah.
weird. But I mean, but yeah, I mean, those that do more power, man. But it's just for me, I'm just like, you know what, man. If you're gonna go out to eat, invite me. I'll go out to eat. Go take
Like
you somewhere
it's
nice,
like
man.
yeah, it's like I think that it's good for families to get together, like you said, and not everybody smokes or drinks. I'm not a smoker, never been a drinker, but I mean I do thank God for my family, and I love them, and I like to see people that's just part of my life. Period. Whether it's people I grew up with in the neighborhood, or people from church, or people from school or work. Like, I'm one of those people, and I think because I've been in the funeral business, like I said, almost 16 years, I have this one thing about me where, like, I just like to, I try to keep in contact with people as much as possible. I just think, because, like, like, we just never know. And so I think it's important to check on people, man. I think that's just key, man.
No, it's true, man. I mean, there's one thing, and I hadn't done it in a while. I mean, I'm guilty of not doing that in a while, but I used to message people randomly and I'm just like, hey, bro, check, man. Like, how you doing, bro? Or you know what I mean? Just out of nowhere. But it's true because, it's like it's kind of like a funny meme or a joke, but it's like, I mean, when it comes to men, like we don't do that. I mean, we
Yeah.
go fishing or we go hang out, and that's how we kind of like, hey, we talk about stuff, but it's like during the week or during the day, it's great for people to just kind of like, man, how you doing, man? Like, I mean,
Man,
like
let me
you're
tell
doing
you.
good, but how are you doing? Like literally, like
Yeah.
humbling, but yeah, man, something we should definitely be doing a lot more.
Yeah, I learned that lesson kind of like after high school. I never forget. I had a friend of mine named Rolando, um good brother of mine. And it takes me back to high school, because I remember, like, I used to bring my video camera to school, and I was having problems with my locker. So my friend Rolando, he kept a lot of my possessions in his locker. And so me and him kind of became friends based off that. But I remember one day, like, we were just like driving down the street, and I'm thinking in my mind, like, I thought I just seen him. And so some in my mind was like, go speak to him or whatever. And I didn't do it. And one day my good friend Eugene came by the house, and we were going through the yearbook, and he pointed to him. He said, he got, he passed away. And I was
Man,
just like, man, it messed me up when I heard that. And I
no,
had no idea. I check in with his sister from time to time, but man, that really, kind of broke my heart. And so I just always said that whenever I think about somebody,
yeah,
I try to, like, you never know what people are going through. So it's
no, yeah.
perfectly fine to reach out to people, especially when you're thinking about them.
No, no, for sure, man. I had this I was a post office employee for years, man. And when I left, I was a contractor. I used to deliver furniture. And I used to help a lot of people, man. I mean, it was kind of like what I felt I had to do at that time. I mean, like for one example, man, I had a customer, and it was him and his buddy, and they were in this bad situation when they were like, hey, like, we got to get out of this apartment. Like, their waters didn't work. It was just an ugly situation, man. I mean, the apartments were horrible, dude, and they didn't have any money. They were like, hey, and I said, well, you know what, man? I said, I can come in after like 5 o'clock and help you, and I did. I went, and they were like, hey, I can't, I can give you like $40, and I said, you know what, man? I said, we're good, man. I'll help you. I said, I saw how they were living. Took 2 days. It wasn't a lot, but it's just like he was in a wheelchair. His buddy could barely move. And so I helped him move, man, get out of that apartment, get into another one. We kind of developed this kinship, man, where, he messaged me out of, hey, how you doing? And it was mutual, man. Like, I was like, you know what? It was a respect. And I did message him. He messaged me one morning, and he was like, hey, Mario, how you doing? Like, man, I hate to bother you. I'm not feeling great. And I might have to go to the hospital. And I said, man, you know what? I said, if you need to, I said, let me know. I said, I'm working, but I can pick you up and I can take you. And he's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna lay down, take a nap. Well, he passed away, bro, that day.
Man.
And when his buddy called me he called me like the next day, and he was all like, hey, I just want to tell you he passed away. And I'm like, bro, like, he texted me yesterday, man, and it hurt. It hit, man. I was like, man, like, I wasn't good for like a few weeks, but I mean, I did attempt to take him, man, but it's just like you said, like, you never know. And it's just like, I just met this guy, man. We're complete strangers, and like I said, I just felt like I had to do it that day. Like, I had to step in and just help them out in that situation. But I did a lot of good by them, though. So it's just like, I just wish, you know,
Yeah,
I
it's,
would have
and
said,
it's,
hey,
and,
take
and it's
me.
like, and that's why, like, I tell people, it's so important to, like, when you think about somebody, it don't hurt to check on people, because I mean, you never want to live with any regret.
Right,
And,
right.
and again, you just never know. Like, sometimes it's not even always just somebody passed away. It's just, you never know. Just a small conversation can really
Yeah.
be really meaningful to somebody.
No, no, for by all means, man. And that's kind of one of the things that I miss, being a contract delivery driver, man. I used to drive all over the city. Man, I was like people's heroes, man. Like people stranded, like cars stalled. I'm pushing people out the road. Uh, one time I was driving down this road, man, and I see this guy on the floor, and he fell off his wheelchair, man. And I was like, damn. My first instinct was to put my hazards. There was traffic coming, but they were pretty far. I went all the way to the far left, had my hazards on, put my headlights on, got off, and I'm helping this dude. And like the cars that were coming, both of them stopped to help too, man. But it was just like a
Yeah.
situation where like everybody was helping, and it's like that's one of the things. And I don't want to get off, off subject, man, but that's one of the things like I told my kids. I say, you know what, when it comes to life, we all vote for certain people. We all have our own belief. We all have our own thing. I said, but when it comes to helping somebody, I said that's what life is about, because I didn't
Yeah.
get out of the vehicle and I didn't ask him like, hey, who'd you vote for? Or what do you think about this? I said, my first thing was like to help. This guy needs help. I'm gonna help him. Everything aside, I said, man, we're all humans. We all gotta live in this earth. So, just be mutual and be respectful. And
Man,
yeah,
I wish more people had that mindset, man. Once
yeah.
people understand that love is a powerful thing, the
Oh
world
yeah,
is not
bro.
this world that God put us in is not a bad place. Sometimes it's just the way we treat one another. But hopefully we'll get better.
No, no, yeah, man. And it's just it's always, I mean, it's always like during voting season, right? That people go crazy, man, and start blasting and just start. But I mean, I dodge. I'm like the Matrix, bro. I'm dodging everything, bro. I'm doing, whatever I can just to skip all this drama. But yeah, man. But it's a good thing. Yeah, I hope people do realize it. I mean, before it's too late. I mean, definitely check on your friends, your family. Whatever it is, even a simple text, bro. I mean, I would,
Absolutely.
goes a long way. But my man, but of course, I mean, you see, you've been doing this from the get go, man. I mean, when it comes to filmmaking, I mean, you were videotaping. I mean, how old are you, brother? First off, I mean,
So I'm 33.
okay, okay,
I'll
you're
be
still young,
34,
bro.
God willing, next year. Yeah,
Sweet.
but man, I've been filmmaking since I was like really little, and like I tell people, like nothing that I'm doing is new. Even wrestling, like I wrestled in high school, freshman and senior
Oh,
year.
nice.
I quit.
Okay.
I quit freshman year and went back senior year and finished the season. But like I said, nothing that I'm doing is new because I remember being in high school. We had a teacher named Miss Jackson. I'll never forget it. She had us to write a plan out for our life. And I remember being in her class, like I wrote that I was going to be a film director and a funeral director. And so
Nice.
by the grace of God, I pursued both. And so,
Yeah.
here I am some time later and still doing everything that I love to do. And like I always tell people, like, to me, you don't want work to feel like work. Even when you do things you love, sometimes you have moments, you have good and bad moments, just like anybody else, but I think it helps when you're doing something that you love.
No, no, by all means, bro. I mean, it's like that quote, love what you do, and you'll never work a day in your life, man.
Absolutely.
You know,
Because I enjoy all of it.
man.
But
You,
yeah,
you,
but
you go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, but like what happened was like as a child, I was really fascinated with like Walt Disney, George Lucas, Spike Lee. Those were kind of like my kind of like heroes in the film business. And so I used to read a lot about like Walt Disney, how he got started. I used to like look at like Star Wars, and then Spike Lee had a couple of movies I liked. And so, I kind of got my inspiration from those guys. And so I'm like, yeah, I would love to do this because one thing about filmmaking, right? Even in the funeral business, right? All of it is storytelling.
Yeah,
Because you think about it, as a filmmaker, you create a character, you create a setting,
yeah,
you create different situations, you create circumstances, kind of like a hero journey type of thing.
yeah.
But even in the funeral business, right? Like, you're coming together to tell somebody's story. So, to me, I just think I love just, creating narratives and just helping people tell their story. So I think to me, filmmaking and funeral service work in that regard is not too different, actually. It's all storytelling.
No, that's true, man. I mean, I never thought about it like that, but I mean, I can relate to that in a lot of situations. I mean, I've worked different businesses, I've worked different jobs throughout the years, and like every time, I was always a different character when it comes. I mean, I pass the time staying busy, man. I don't like I have idle hands, so I don't like to stand there and do nothing, But I mean, I used to have to like put on not a front, but I mean, I used to never like expose myself to everybody when it comes to like, they didn't know who I was, man. In other words, so I used to always put a persona up, like, because it was weird, but it's like I don't. I kind of it gets weird when like say I'm out in public and say I'm grocery shopping and I run into somebody I know. If I freak out, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of like, oh crap, like people know I eat, right? That's a big secret, man. But it's just like, at work, so it's the same way. Like people know what I do, but they don't know me. You know what I mean? It's weird, but
Yeah.
they just know what I put out there. In other words, But there's a lot that goes on at home that I'm just like, man, like it's a lot more stuff that I do.
Yeah, it's to me it's kind of fun because like you meet so many people. Like, I know a lot of great people in the funeral business. I know a lot of great people in the pro wrestling industry. I know a lot of great people in the film industry. I think it's good and bad and everything, but I think for the most part, if you're a person that try to keep yourself pure, you don't focus on like the dark side of anything. You only focus on the things that bring you peace, love, and joy. And you just try to be as kind to people. Because one thing I'll tell everybody, especially even when I'm working on film sets, right, is everybody is somebody. So, you just got to treat everybody right and just, never look down on anybody because everybody's just out here trying to make a living for their family and just, trying to enjoy this time that God gave us. So
Oh
I
yes.
try to treat everybody as fair as possible.
No, that's true, man. I mean, like yourself, I jump on films. I mean, you're making them, but I mean, I get out there and I do my thing. Every time I go out there, I meet different people, man, and I get a kick out of that because it's like, I mean, where else can, you of course work, but work, you see the same people over and over. But I mean, when it comes to like, I run into different people all the time, and I'm like, dude, like, that's cool. It's like, I mean, people from San Antonio, and it's one of those things. Like San Antonio's grown, it's been growing, it's still growing, and it's like there's people here in the city that I will never see in my life, my whole life, bro. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's just wild to me. But it's like I'll go to a fight, or I'll go to an event, or I'll go to one of these castings, and it's like I run into people, and I'm like, and they're like, "Oh, I live right here," and I'm like, "Bro, that's like in my area, and I've never seen you." It's just it. We don't. I don't know. It's like when I'm driving around and I'm looking at people drive like in their cars, and I'm kind of like, man, I wonder who that. Who is that, man? Where are they going? What's going on? Like it's mind blowing because, like you said, we don't know
Yeah.
what's going on. Dude, everybody's going through stuff, but it's like I mean, I
Yeah.
changed my attitude a lot more towards the end of this year, man. Like I was in a rut to where I just wasn't happy, and I removed myself from a lot of things just to kind of clear my head and be like, okay, you know what? The whole film thing's what I want to do. I'm pursuing, so I just kind of concentrated on that. I got a little.
Yeah.
I don't want to say selfish, but I did get a little selfish, and I was like, let me work on myself. Let me put some more effort into this, and I feel great. I
Yeah. I
feel
love
really
it.
great.
Yeah, but sometimes you gotta just lock in because I know, like for me, when I graduated film school back in 2020,
Yeah.
and I graduated out of mortuary college in 2018, so like I went right
Okay.
back to school. And I'm looking at it like I've been doing a lot of more independent stuff, but recently, kind of like when I stepped away from doing funeral service full time, I kind of had a little more time to kind of do some really cool stuff in film.
Yeah.
Like I've been doing like extra work on like Chicago PD,
Yeah.
Chicago Med. And it's funny because just like what you said, like, being here in Chicago is so many different people. And even working in the funeral business, I met so many people, but
Yeah.
it's like, sometimes when you kind of in your own little world, you're thinking about your own life and your own problems and your own this and that. But then you kind of look up and be like, you know what? It's so many wonderful people out here,
Yeah.
and like you said, some people live right. And like yesterday when I was on the set of Chicago PD, like I met a fellow brother who's also an actor,
Yeah.
and we lived in the same area. So he ended up giving me a lift home. Like it
Oh,
was
nice.
pretty
I like
cool.
that.
It's just crazy how like, and then the first time I did Chicago PD, there was another fellow pro wrestler there.
Oh, sweet.
And I was talking about wrestling to another guy. He heard me, then come to find out we know some of the same people from the industry. So it's like, you sometimes, you in situations where you meet some people that like maybe live right around the corner from you or whatever. It's amazing.
Yeah. No, no, it is, man. I mean, I do. There's like when I worked at the post office, I was a carrier, and I mean, I used to, walk everywhere, man. I used to deliver mail, but it's like I never really paid attention to faces. Like I would always like, hey, here's your mail, and I would just keep going. When I worked at the plant, I used to work on the mid shift, and I mean, there was people there that I had never seen. Like I was just like, man, but it was its own world, man. Like people, we worked there every day. You know what I mean? Like you don't have time. You go home, you're tired, dude. They should beat you up, and it's just like, dude, like you don't do nothing, and then it's like, I mean, people would like that. I'm like, cool, man. But it's like I had to remove myself from that because I was like, man, like, pay was great. I had money, I had this, but I was like, I didn't have time. And I said, all
Yeah.
the money, and I'm not gonna be able to buy time back, man. Like that's gone, and
I've
so
been through that. I've been through
yeah.
that as well. When I worked at the funeral home full time, this was kind of like toward the end of my tenure there, but I ended up getting diagnosed with this vocal disorder. It's not life threatening, it was life altering, but it was called spasmodic dysphonia. And spasmodic dysphonia, it affects your vocal cord, it affects your voice. So like when I would talk, my voice would strain real bad. And they were trying to like get me to do like these Botox injections. And I'm like, no. And but what happened was I went to a voice specialist. She like, well, you're a filmmaker and you're doing wrestling. She like, you might want to consider taking a break from the funeral business. And so I realized when I quit working at the funeral home full time, my
Yeah.
voice never strained again after that.
Oh
So
wow.
it must have been kind of like, stress from kind of
Yeah.
because like when I was working full time, I was working all day Friday, Saturday,
Yeah.
Sunday. I kind of like because like in that business, look, the weekend is kind of like one of your busiest times, and so like like I really missed out on a lot of birthday parties and a lot
Oh
of this
yeah.
and that. And don't get me wrong, like I took some time and went to certain things, but it's like you can only take off so much, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But
Oh yeah.
sometimes you have to create a balance. And I remember being at a funeral director conference, and there was somebody that kind of said there's no such thing as a balanced life. But I kind of got a different perspective on that. Like I respect everybody's perspective, but I think that you have to create one. You
Yeah.
know,
No,
you're
yeah.
not gonna do it's not gonna be given to you, but you have to create it.
No, no, yeah,
Perspective is
no.
a powerful thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you see, and that was the thing too, because working at the post office, everything's by seniority. So, like, if the holidays were coming up, they went by seniority. So the people who'd been there like 30 years got to pick first, man. And we were freshies, dude. Like when we changed crafts, like you start at the bottom again. And so I had like five people under me that started after I did, and so but we were just like bottom feeders, man. Like we took whatever we could, and the holidays will be gone, the weekend, you know what I mean? So it's like whatever. Like if we're off Tuesday, Wednesday, that's it. On that bid job, we're off Tuesday, Wednesday till we got another bid job with different days, man. And it's like I miss my kids' birthdays. I miss, because my hours were whack. I couldn't see him as much
Yeah,
during the week, and it was just like, damn, and I
but
did bid
yeah,
out, but I missed out on a lot. So I was like, when that time came and I had to make that decision, I was like, you know what, like I'm gone, man. Like I'm out of here,
I don't blame. But
Yeah,
you know what people have to realize. That's why, like again, like everything has to be a balance because even like with my situation, like I right now I run my own mortuary transportation company. So basically, I pick up loved ones from the nursing home or the hospital and
yeah,
take them into the care of the funeral facility. But to be honest with you, I never thought I would have my own, removal company. It just kind of happened because I had to kind of, for medical reasons, I had to kind of balance my time out a little bit better and take a step back. And so when I started doing that, like
yeah,
I think I like doing that a lot more than what I was doing.
yeah.
And it's a little different because I'm not at the funeral home all day like I was. I'm actually more out in the field, going to different places. And I think it's, kind of nice just getting the chance to go out and clear your mind a little bit and just, being able to help and serve people. That's what I enjoy doing. So sometimes you have to just make things better for you.
Yeah.
Everybody's life is different. Everybody's passion is different. And so I always tell people don't box yourself in. It's always like even when you feel stuck, right? You just got to look for another angle. You know,
Oh yeah, always.
it's always something that could be figured out. You just got to give yourself grace and patience to figure it out.
No, it's true, man. Because even like now, like with the job I have now, like I'm there part time. They keep offering me full time, and I'm like, man, like part time. I'm like, I'm good because I asked the boss. I was like, hey, look, if I need days off, like I can, And she's like, yeah, like I mean, when it comes to filming or I mean, that's all I do, honestly, man. But it's like if I have to miss a few days, like they're okay with it, and I'm like, okay, like I just give them a heads up, man, and I appreciate that because The post office, I wouldn't be able to do that. If I worked, you know what I mean? Like everywhere else, I wouldn't be able to do that, man. So I'm like, you know what? I'm good where I'm at. Like, I wish I could do this full time next year, but I'm still gonna be like floating back and forth, man. It's just, for me, it's a great balance, like you keep saying, dude, right now, because it's like works great. Everybody that I work with, like I'm kind of on my own. Like I take care of the building. I mean, they let me know what's going on, and I just get it done. There's no micromanagement. There's nothing. Like the post office at the beginning, it was the same way when I was a carrier, man. I used to get my route, and they give me like an hour kickoff. And when I left, I was like, dude, it was on me, bro. Like I was just out there. I did what I had to do. Every once in a while, they go looking for you just to give you more mail, right? I'm like, but man, like give me another hour. But I mean, other than that, I was just like, dude, I love that. I love being on my own. Like I take direction well. Like if you know what I mean, I have no problem with people. Hey, we need this done or we need this, but it's just like if I already know what I'm doing, I'm okay with just getting it done. You know what I mean? I know
Yeah,
and but yeah, but that's what kind of where I'm at now. Like the next 2 weeks, I know that like we're off Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and then New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Like I told my boss, I said, okay, I can come in New Year's Eve, man, or Christmas Eve, and they're like, no, no, it's the holidays, and I'm like, I don't get paid if I'm not here, boss. So I don't mind, but it's fine, like I'm gonna take them off, I'm gonna rest up, and it's just, but the balance is great, man. I'm gonna start using that word because that's pretty much what it's about, being able to
yeah,
balance
you got to
yourself, your
create
work.
it. You have to like, because that's the thing about life, right? Like, the time that God gives us here, right? We have to manage it because a lot of people talk a lot about managing money, but if you're not here, you can't spend no money. So
Yeah,
I think it's so important to focus on your health and use your time wisely and manage your money wisely as well. But you got to take care of yourself mentally, spiritually, all that stuff, because that's very important. Because again, you ain't no good to you ain't good to nobody. You ain't good to yourself.
no, that's true, man. That is so true. I mean, earlier, like every month at work, we do this thing where the CEO, right? He's in home. Like we'll have a meeting, and he's like, "Okay, guys, we're gonna do the tell me something good. Like what you've been up to." And they had asked today, and I was just like, "Man, I've been doing this, I've been doing that. I mean, I've been working on all these projects." I said, "But my tell me something good is that my kids support what I'm doing, my loved ones support what I'm doing. My health is on check." I said, "Everything's great, man." And my job, I said, "I enjoy what I do at work," which is true. People were like, "Oh man, you're brown nosing." I said, "Nah, man." I said, "You know what? If I didn't like what I was doing, I wouldn't be there, man. That's what how my mentality is right now. Like if I'm here and I'm not good, like I'll move myself. When it comes to people, when it comes to whatever, like I don't care. Like it's just I'm gonna take care of myself. I'm gonna take care of my mental health, like you said, because it's like life's too short, man. I mean, I want to squeeze as much
Absolutely.
as I can out of it, but we honestly don't know when the time comes. But
Yeah,
while we're here, like you said, make sure we're enjoying the journey, man. So I keep using that journey, dude, because it's like everybody's like, oh, I want to be, I want to be an actor, and I'm like, okay, well, it's there's a stretch. Like you're not gonna be an actor like plural like one time. It's like, dude, I wanna enjoy this. I want to do the whole film thing. I
yeah,
want to like whatever years I can get out of it. I want that, and it's
yeah,
like I
and
want
that's
to have fun.
yeah,
And
and that's exactly how my journey has been, because acting is one part of the journey that I never really necessarily cared for. But being a filmmaker, when I produced my first episode to my web series, it was called Repeat. It was loosely based off my experience in mortuary school. The main actor who was supposed to play Wade didn't show up. So I had to pay everybody to be there. So one thing about me, I don't waste my money now.
yeah,
So I'm like, look, I got to pay everybody to be here, and I'm not gonna waste my money. So they like, well, wait, why don't you just do the part? So I just started doing the part, and I
yeah,
mean, I'm not gonna say I'm the greatest actor in the world, because I don't consider myself as an actor, but I'm an artist who likes to express himself, and so
yeah,
I stepped in and did the part, and so I've been doing the part ever since. And so, because a lot of people are like, oh, you want to be an actor too, like a filmmaker maybe, but not so much, not so much acting, but I mean, I do it for fun.
yeah.
I enjoy, even with the Chicago PD thing, right? Like the funny story was, the first time they picked me, it was for a funeral scene. I was
Oh,
like, oh, like, like that's the one time they would pick me, and then after that, they just been keep calling, and so like, I just if they call me and I'm available, I just go for it. It's a lot of fun though. Like, a lot of the cast and crew are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love working PD more than all of them. Like, I hope I don't get in trouble for saying that, but like Chicago PD, I have a lot of fun being on that
Yeah.
set. It's a whole lot of
No, you
fun.
see, man, that's one of the things, man, because when I started jumping on films, there's I started doing BTS, I started jumping like I do media, like I cover fights, I do the whole MMA, boxing, whatever's out there, right? I mean, but like when I started doing like BTS for film, like I kind of knew I wanted to get into it, but I was like, you know what, let me get like the behind the scenes. Let me see how this works, man. Because I was curious. I was like, dude, I've been wanting to like jump on films, before COVID, and I did like two auditions before, right before COVID, which, when the COVID hit, like everything stopped, right? But it's like, when for me, it happened like once my youngest was like, "Hey, Dad, I'm moving out," and I was like, "Are you sure?" Like, okay, well, I'm still here. So she moved out, and I was like, "Okay, I gotta find something to do." I gotta. So I started doing I was already podcasting, but I started jumping into the whole film thing. And it just opened doors, man, opened opportunities. I mean, I started connecting with a lot of people. There's a lot of great people out there that have helped me, man. I still rock with them, dude. Like we have a small circle, and it's kind of like you were saying earlier, like when you go somewhere and somebody can, give you a ride. Like that's kind of what we're doing now. We have a group to where it's like, hey, as soon as somebody gets something, we're like, hey, who else is going? Like, let's get a room. We're out there 2 3 days. Let's get a room. We all pitch in and just kind of help each other out because it's like, dude, like it's expensive, bro. I don't want to spend all my money on a room. And it's like, okay, well, I will say this, man, because I don't. Nobody has said anything when it comes to like, jumping on, as a background or as an extra or whatever, man. But it's like for us to go get paid, like it's good. Like if I don't go to work, they don't pay me, so I gotta get paid over here. So I'm like, hey, I mean, that's where, without that, I can't. I got bills
Well, you
too,
know
man.
what?
So it's just like,
I
so
never thought I never thought that I actually would enjoy it so much actually
yeah,
because again, like me, I didn't set out to do acting. But considering the circumstance right now, I'm like, if I'm one of them people that as long as it's good and it's pure,
yeah,
you know, I'm one of those people that I'll take an opportunity as long as it's good and pure. I always say that because sometimes, especially nowadays, you have to be very precise
oh
when
yeah,
you say things, so but honestly, I'm grateful to God that they, picked me for the funeral scene because I'm like, wow, I took that as a sign, like, look, I can't get away from this stuff, right? Like
yeah,
I'm like, that's the one time they would pick me, but no, every time I'm on the set, it's a lot of fun. And to be honest with you, the hours are just as long as they are in the funeral business, by
oh
the
yeah,
way.
yeah,
Because a lot of people might think like, it seems like a lot. Well, it is fun, but the hours are very long.
yeah.
But it comes with the territory.
No, no, for sure, man. When it came to being self-employed, like, you know, I was like, oh man, I'll be my own boss, which I loved. I used to tell people I'm my own best employee, man. I was just me, and I used to deliver furniture everywhere, man. But the thing about it was that it was one of those where I'd get home early and people are like, hey, somebody called, they bought a sofa set or they bought this, can you do it? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it, and I just kind of I would work long hours, man. I used to work from like 9 to 9, like every day, Monday through Sunday, bro. And it was just like I had to like learn how to manage, right? I mean, that's a key word.
Yeah,
I had to learn how to
and you know
manage
what?
my time because I was like, dude, like I was working all the time, man, and money was great. I'm not gonna lie, but it's like it came to where I was just like, you know what? I get my kids on the weekend out. I mean, their mom was separated, and so I was like, man, you know what? When I get them, I'm not gonna work. So I had this deal with my kids, and every time they come, they were older, they were still like teens, right? They weren't teenagers, they were like getting there. But I used to tell them, and I said, look, I got two deliveries. I said, y'all want to go with me? After that, I said, that's our spending money, let's go. And so they're like, yeah, so we go and knock those out. And we had like season passes for like Fiesta Texas and SeaWorld, man, so we didn't pay for anything. But we have free parkings. But it was just like that mentality. Like they used to see where the money came from, and that's what I liked. They were like, "Oh, Dad," like like they would ask me for something, and they're like, "Dad, I know you work hard for your money, but I really want this." And I'm like, "You need it?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay, well, let's go." But they were
Yes.
never like big on names, like they were, name brand stuff, dude. Like they never like, "Oh, Dad, I want." like $100 shirt, right, or anything. So that was good, you know. But it's just like, I mean, but they knew like the money like that I worked for it, man. They just, I was in an ATM, like, so they kind of respected that. So every time they want something, they're like, hey, dad, my youngest was in band, and she was like, hey, I need this, and I'm like, no, like, it's for school. Like, let's go get it. Let's get it over with and pay it, and have it ready. But it kind of it kind of put us, like, all of us, as far as like me and my kids, on that same, where we kind of saw everything. We kind of like understood, like, hey, you know what, like, money's not free, man. I got to go work for it. They used to come
Yeah.
help me out, and it's just, but yeah, man, it's good though. It's like I had to manage my time. But as soon as they call, and they be calling, man. And there was somebody had told me, they were like, oh no, well, it was my oldest, when she was like, well, just tell him your book, dad. And I was like, dude, like, it just blew my mind, because I'm like, that's all I had to say, like, hey, I'm booked. And they're like, oh, okay, well, can you do it tomorrow? And I'm like, what? Kind of surprised me, but I was just like, dude, like, all this time I could have just said I'm booked, and I could have, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, man. But once I started doing that, and I started taking my time off, like, hey, I'm gonna spend time with my kids.
Yeah, you have to, because again, time will get away from you, because you look up 5 or 6 years done passed by. You like, wow, where did the time go? So to
Oh
me,
yeah,
you got to get like a lasso on time, and just just kind of cherish every moment, because that's so key. That's why, like, now when I'm somewhere now, I never try to rush. Like, I try to, like the song say, take your time. What's the rush, right? Like, sometimes you just gotta just live in the moment and just be present, because that is very important. And I learned that. And again, too, like in life, you have to have a balance between the work life and personal life and all that, because spending time with your children or your family, that is very important, because that's time you can never get back. So
no, man,
I,
no.
I try to enjoy every moment. I try not to miss any important events. Like, last Saturday, my little cousin, she graduated from college, and
Oh
she
yeah,
she's going into acting and things as well. And so I wanted to be there for her, like I was there for her sister, and
yeah.
God willing, for the rest of my cousins as they graduate, because it's just, some things are just too pressed. Like, it was, and the roads were very icy too. We prayed the Lord help us to make it, safely and everything. But if you can make it, you try to be there for your family, even your friends. You try to be
No, yeah,
there and be as
yeah,
present for people as much as possible.
yeah, man. You see, and even like here, like when it comes to the whole film thing, they have festivals, they have events, and it's like, man, like for me, if it's like I tell people, if I'm home, and I was like, dude, I'm there, But it's just, I mean, if I'm working on the project, or I'm filming to myself, like, obviously I can't make it, So it's just one of those things where I'm like, damn, I wish there was two of me, just so I can, like, support everybody, man. But yeah, man, it's just, I mean, definitely family. It's just, for myself, man, like, I know, like I said, like, towards the end of this year, like, I started, like, I kind of had that reality check where I was like, okay, you know what, man, like, where's the burden, like, what's bothering me, or and I just started, like, I was like, dude, I'm just not gonna do that right now. Like, I was like, boom, boom, I started, just disassociating myself with a lot of things. And I was like, okay, what do I want to do? And I said, okay, films, I want to jump on. I said, you know what, let's start concentrating on that. I started working on that. I started reaching out. I started networking. I started, once again, and it picked up quick, man. Like, I was like, okay, we're still there, And once I realized it, I was like, dude, that's what I want to do, And like, yeah, like next year, like, I took enough time off to where, like, next year I do want to be out a little bit more. I want to cover events. I want to do a little bit more when it comes to local stuff. Just work with people, and it won't be all the time, because I do want to film a lot more next year too. But if there's a free weekend, and I'll be there, man.
Yeah, I love it. Like, as for me, some of my goals are to kind of jump back into pro wrestling a little bit, because I've been away for quite a bit. But I did train like consistently for that for 2 years, and I'm working on my documentary on training for pro wrestling. So we're in the process of shooting that now. So I'm just excited for all of it, man. You gotta. I always say, as my friend John from Pro Wrestling always said, and to your point, we have to enjoy the journey. Don't worry so much about the destination, but just focus on the journey, because that's one of the most special times and the most special things, because again, you meet so many cool people along the way. It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, yeah, bro. And that's one thing I've been enjoying, man. Like, I run into people, and it's just like, like you said, everybody's somebody, yeah, man. But for me, like I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I'm still like, you know, people that know me are the people that I work with, or I used to be very heavily with like the combat scene, man. So every time I go somewhere, like people were like, "Man, you're like a celebrity, bro," because people knew me. But it's because I was at all the fights, I was at the weigh-ins, I was like at the gyms, I cover seminars, I would cover appearances. I was like all over Texas, man, and I did hustle, dude. And I worked with people, I managed fighters, I mean sponsorship, you name it. I was in it. And so it's like after I took some time away from that, like when I started coming back, one of the coaches somewhere, because he was all like, "Hey man," like he's like, "Hey man, like all the old heads know you, man, but a lot of the youngsters, like all the new guys, don't know who you are, man. Like you're gonna have to start." And I said, "That's fine. Like I don't mind, but as soon as I started doing it again, like people right away knew me, man. Or coaches would tell them, like, "Hey, that's Spider, bro. Like he's in it." I've been helping a lot of fighters. I mean, a lot of guys that there's some in the UFC right now, and I'm like, dude, like I was there when they were amateurs, man. It's cool, and it's like one of those things, like you said, like everybody's a person, bro. Like when I go and film with people, and there's big names out there, I don't go fanboyish. I just respect them and I give them their space because they're like, hey, don't talk to them, don't do this. They talk to you, you just kind of respond and just. But when I'm out there, I ignore everybody. I mean, except for the other extras, right, or the background, or the other actors that are there. Like I'm like, yeah, man, like I'll talk to them, but it's like I just kind of like, hey, how's it going? Excuse me, like.
Well, me, look. When I be there, I'll be excited to be around everybody. Like it doesn't matter name or
Yeah.
whatever,
Oh
but
yeah.
I just like people. To me, people are people. I just because again, to me, you know, when you're working with people, doesn't matter whether famous or not, you never know who you're in the presence of. Like
Oh yeah.
somebody that you're sitting right next to might, just end up, doing some really great and fabulous things. So I never look down on anybody.
Yeah.
And I
That's
never
good.
I never try to just walk past people like no, because everybody's important. And again, you never know because some of the people that you're there working with there might be people that God willing later on down the road, you may be doing some pretty big things with. So,
Yeah.
it's just good to treat people right and be kind to people,
No, that's true, man.
no matter who they are, it's just nice to be kind to everybody.
Yeah, and that's true because I mean, even like I said, like all the my buddies that were amateurs. I mean, everybody was an amateur one day, so they got to start somewhere, man. I mean, we got to start at the bottom, work our way up, and it reminds me like one time, like I was talking to my coworker, and he was all like, "Oh man, imagine if you would have been born rich." And I was like, "Man," I said, "Dude, that would be boring, man." I said, "I mean, money, yeah, I get it, but I was like, dude, I would hate to have been born with everything handed to me because I mean, where's the character? Where's the experience? Where's the I said, I mean, we're at where we're at now in life because of the struggles, because of everything we have
Absolutely.
to endure, everything we have to go through, everything. And it's just like, dude, I mean, I love that, like I'm most people, I'm sure, we've been through hell and back, so to speak. And it's just like there's a lot of things in life that I've been through that I'm like, man, like I survived, bro. Like I survived, I could have been dead, I could have been in prison, I could have been, and it's just like, man, like now I'm like, okay, you know what? Like live and learn. Now, like I said, I don't put myself in situations anymore because I already know them. Like I'm like, dude, like
Yeah.
I don't go there because it's like, dude, there's so many things that could happen that I'm like, I'm good. I'll stay over here. I'm too good looking to be locked up, bro. No, I'm just joking. No, but it's just like I love my freedom, man. Like I want to be able to just do and come as I please, and just keep doing what I'm doing, man. But it's just you know there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, even next year, bro, I've got a couple of things. I mean, I haven't posted up there yet, and I probably won't. But when they happen, I mean, I'm working, man.
I'm
You
with
know,
you. Yeah, it's like you said, it's just a lot of fun, and it's a blessing to wake up every day and do what you enjoy. Like, because I feel like, one thing about me, I don't compare my life to anybody else's. And I know because I know we kind of live in this world where like people kind of like to compare, but I
oh,
always say that everybody is unique in their own way. And I never comparing anybody to anybody. I mean, even in app like I'm a very big basketball fan. Like, of course, I know some. I know I don't know how people gonna feel about this, but I do appreciate LeBron James just as much as I appreciate Michael Jordan.
yeah,
But I never compare anybody because everybody has their own unique talent and skills, and it's nice to see. Because again, I feel like I celebrate everybody who's doing things, whether it's on the indie scene, whether it's mainstream, whether it's unseen, foreseen, or ever seen. I celebrate everybody.
Man, you know what? And that's true, man. I mean, there's like when I was doing deliveries, right? I used to work with big lots. I was a contractor, man, and like some of the like the workers that worked there would be like, "Hey, man, your competition, man." Like, and there was like two other companies, and they had box trucks. They had like two, three guys, and I was by myself, bro. And I was like, dude, I said, man, I said they're not my competition, man. And one of the guys kind of heard me. He was like, "Oh, well, what do you mean?" And I said, "Bro, there's stuff that y'all do that I can't do." I said, and vice versa. I said, "Yeah, there's stuff that I do that y'all can't do." I said, like actually, you know, charge people less for one thing. I said, because I used to like they would charge like 150, bro, and I started at 75. And I was
Okay,
like, man, I said, y'all can't do that. I said, y'all can't be there today. I said, y'all are booked up like for weeks, dude. I said, I'm like the same day delivery guy, bro. Like I make things happen today. And but but it's true, man, because it's like I don't compare myself to like there's other locals here that are doing this thing, and some dude, there's a lot of
absolutely.
great,
It's the
a lot of
same.
great talent. Yeah,
It's the same way in the funeral business. Like I hear people say competition, but
yeah,
I can tell you now, as being someone who works for different funeral homes, as they call me, I would say that I don't believe, in the competition thing as well. I think people gonna go where they want to go, but I think that it's okay to be willing to help each other out.
right,
I think a lot of people have to really think about it that way because, again, just think about it like this: family may call. I'm just gonna make up a name. Like, just say for instance, they call Green Funeral Home,
yeah,
and then you got Blue Funeral Home over here. But then Green Funeral Home is kind of got a lot going on. So he may call Blue Funeral Home and say, "Hey, can you make a removal for me?" No problem, I got you. I
yeah.
think we got to learn to celebrate and be there for one another instead
No,
of like
yeah,
looking at it as competition. Because I feel like whatever's for you in life, you'll get it. I don't. I'm not one that really get off into the competition thing either because it kind of makes room for jealousy and envy
yeah,
and
bro.
I mean people really shouldn't really be jealous of anybody because I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure I'm pretty sure we don't want nobody else problems. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I mean I'm pretty sure nobody don't want mine and I don't want theirs. So I feel like everybody got something to be thankful for, but
yeah.
it's never no reason to look down on anybody or get mad at anybody because
Nah,
they,
bro. Like,
maybe because you never know what people went through to get to where they were. So
yeah,
everybody had their fair share of ups and downs. Trust me. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't want nobody else problems. So I appreciate what God has taken them, and I hope and believe and trust that He will continue to lead me down the right path that I'm on. So
Yeah.
that's just how I choose to look at life.
No, it's true, man. Because one of the things, like, I've worked with a lot of local directors. I've worked on big, productions, man. And I study people. Like, I'm real big. I'm like, if somebody's like, oh man, this guy's a great guy, like, I pay attention, man. Like when they think nobody's looking, like I'm listening. I'm listening how they talk to people, how they, you know what I mean. Like I'm that guy where I'm like, okay, yeah, this guy's pretty cool. Like I see him behind me talking to just people, like, hey man, and you can see by their character, and that's how I talk to, like I kind of make my own, like, okay, that guy's a cool dude. Or if I hear him like talking another way, and I'm like, oh man, I don't want to deal with that guy. You know what I mean? Like I already know
Yeah,
like who to mess with and who to work with or who to.
yeah.
So that's me, man.
I've had that experience more so in pro wrestling where like
Oh yeah,
a lot of people. Um, I met some people that was a little more maybe not so nice,
yeah,
but I don't hold that against anybody because again I don't you never know what people went through to get to where they were, but I just try to treat everybody right because I mean like I said when I trained for pro wrestling there were some people who were starting out with us that are now traveling the world doing big
yeah,
things. And I'm like I said, I didn't put as much effort into it as they did because I did it more as a hobby. I didn't get into it to try to go to WWE or TNA or nothing like that. Like I did it because sometimes people think just because you get into something, they think like, oh, no, it's not like I'm not trying to go to WWE or TNA and none of that stuff. I did it strictly because I wanted a hobby and an outlet that I can just have fun with it because
yeah,
I feel like when you get into things sometimes I feel like people I don't know, like it's interesting because like a lot of times when people get into the limelight, a lot of times people kind of try to compare you to other people,
Oh
or
yeah.
they might, but no, like, I think everybody has a right to pursue their dream. And so me, I let people just, be themselves and let them enjoy their life. Like who am I to criticize somebody for pursuing their dream? Long as it's, like I said, long as it's in the pure way and you ain't hurting nobody, why not?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's true, man. I mean, I see that like when I go to these projects, a lot of times I'm in film and I talk to everybody. I'm like, I'm networking. I'm like, hey, man, what do you do, man? I mean, what do you do outside of this, man? I mean, are you an actor? Are you a writer? And you meet other people. You meet, oh yeah, well, I'm a director. I'm like, okay, cool, man. Like, hey, you know what? Like, and those are the people. I mean, I talk to everybody, but those are the kind of the people that I'm like, hey, well, look, man, give me a follow, dude. I'll follow you back. Let's keep growing, man. I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here to network. We're here to, for opportunities. And then there's guys that I'm like, hey man, you have an Instagram? And they're like, oh no. Oh well, you have Facebook? Oh no, man. And I'm like, how'd you get here, man? How'd you hear about this? And they're like, oh well, email, and I'm like, okay, cool, but it's just people that don't that they just want to do it like a hobby, and they're getting paid, so good for them,
Yeah.
'cause, I mean, they're making
Yeah,
money, and
look,
I'm like, yeah,
I'm not knocking anybody because like I said, I had so much of a fun experience training for pro wrestling. Like I said, I met so many wonderful people, and I still support my brothers and sisters in the business.
yeah,
And again, I still hang around the business a bit. Like I said, I'm working on the documentary, but to me, you just got to live your life and just have fun with it. And it's not,
have fun,
and
man.
sometimes I know a lot of times, like, because I look at it like this, like, I love seeing people, do things that they're passionate about. I love seeing people, you know, just growing and just being, because like I said, a lot of times when I sit back and look and I see some of my brothers and sisters in the wrestling business who are traveling the world doing their thing, I'm happy for them. Like, because I understand where they came from. I mean, I was there like with
Yeah,
them when we were training for it. So it's like to see them go as far with it. It's like, I'm excited for them. And like I
yeah,
said, I love celebrating people. I wish nothing bad on anybody because I feel like, the one thing that we have to realize as people is like, everybody has a purpose. Everybody have things that they like and enjoy doing. And so I try not to never like down anybody because like, we live in this world. The world is not a bad place, but
no.
even on social media, right? Sometimes like I'll see people post something and then somebody kind of goes in and comments
Oh
and
yeah,
things of that
yeah,
nature and try to troll people and stuff. And me, I'm just one of them people like, it's far more important things in the world to be focusing on something that you don't care about it, you don't like.
yeah,
Like me, I don't, I really don't understand that, to be
yeah,
honest with you. Like I feel like if you see something that you don't like, well, you can just
yeah. Keep
find something
scrolling,
that you
man.
do, right?
Yeah, they
I
need
don't
a
want to spend
hobby.
my time. I don't want to spend my time, God, get me
No,
focusing on something that I don't care about. Like,
no,
no, it's not.
exactly, man, and that's true,
It's
man. I mean,
pointless.
why?
It's a waste of time.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd be wasting your time. Like, why am I gonna sit here
Yeah.
and argue with somebody about what they eat for, oh, I don't put
I
that on.
always say, I always say sometimes when people focus so much on something that they don't like, it must be something about it that they like,
Oh
that
yeah,
they take time out of
yeah,
your busy day to focus on. Like, it's a lot of things that you can be doing with your time. So
yeah,
to me, I don't have nothing bad to say about anybody. I'm always happy and celebrating people because again, you never know what people went through to get to where they were. So it's no point in like, focusing on that. And cause I mean I see that a lot online and it's like I kind of laugh at it, but I
yeah,
just tell people use your time and spend it on something that you enjoy doing. I'm sure
yeah.
when it comes
Oh,
time to leave here, we want to look back on our life and be like, man, I enjoyed every moment of my life. So
yeah, dude,
I ain't wasting
exactly,
my
dude.
time with something that I really don't care about.
Yeah, I mean, that's I 100%, man. I mean, I'm that guy. I'm like, dude, like I want to, it's like I tell people, if there's a bump on the road, go around it, man. Why go
Yeah,
why go through it well when you can just go over it? Like, I mean, you just keep going, man. Like, I don't.
yeah,
I've always said this when it comes to a lot of things in life, man. But I'm not a waiter by trade. Like, I hate waiting. Like, I don't. If you're like, oh, well, you gotta wait. I'm like, dude, I'm going over there. Like, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, it's just like,
Well, that's me. That's
yeah,
I got a lot of people that I've been connecting with and a lot of people that I've been talking to. But by me being in the funeral business, and I'm not being funny when I say it, because you don't have to be in the funeral business to understand this concept, but time waits on nobody.
yeah,
And so to me, it's like, I don't spend a lot of time trying to convince people, you know, um, of certain things, like to help promote me and things. Because again, I put it like this, like, when you're trying to get something done, sometimes you have to be the one that know how to get it done. And I think, to me, that actually makes you more knowledgeable, because instead of waiting on opportunity, like I tell people, one of my favorite animals is the crocodile. And I know some people might be shocked by that, but what I like about the crocodile, he or she doesn't hunt like the lion in groups
Yeah.
and chase their prey. The crocodile waits till the
Taste
opportunity
it,
gets very close,
yeah.
and then it's over with. Then, so to me, I operate crocodile style. That's what I call it, and I mean that in a good way,
Yeah.
because opportunities, you can't waste them.
Yeah.
You have to take them and take a chance on yourself, even when other people not. Because to me, that's what makes you more knowledgeable and more skilled at what you do, is learning how to connect with people and learning how to market yourself
Yeah.
somewhat. Because that's the name of the game. Like, you don't want to be subject to somebody else's market, because now you got to wait on them, and
Yeah.
time does not wait on anybody. So
No,
you know
man.
I
No.
tell people, don't wait on nobody but God. That's the
No,
only
yeah.
one you should be waiting on. But other than that, you do what you can for yourself. As long as it's all good stuff.
No, yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. As long as it's legal, like, hey, man, be happy, man. Go out there. I mean, when it comes to like yourself earlier, like you said, you did describe yourself as an artist, and it's true, man, because there's a lot of stuff that we do. I mean, and it's kind of like my thing. Like I always, put myself as a podcaster, actor, moderator, commentator. Like there's stuff that I've done, and it's like it changes. Like every week, I'm like, man, well, I want to push this a little bit more. I want to do this a little bit more, but those are the things that I've been doing and I enjoy doing. Like it's one of those things, man, where like I'm not a professional when it comes to everything I do, man. Like I didn't go to school for a lot of the things that I've done or I have been doing, but there's things that I'm doing that I talk to people and I'm like, oh man, like I've been published. I've had my photos used in magazines. I've had, all these opportunities, and they're like, man, like I went to college for years, bro, and I still can't even do that. Like how,
Well, look, what
and it's like,
makes you, I always tell people, what makes you what you are is that you're doing the work of that thing.
yeah,
And so, because a lot of people have degrees. I mean, I
yeah,
have degrees as well, but it's nice to have them, but you have to do something with them. And with or without them, you can make it.
yeah.
I think what people have to understand is that it's really up to you what path you go down. You just have to make it work, because everybody's story is different. Everybody's journey is different. Like, there are people who are really successful in a lot of industries, and maybe they necessarily didn't go to school. So to me, it's not just all about that. It's what you're doing with the opportunities, because that's what matter more so than anything. Like, I mean, I'm thankful and grateful to God that He blessed me to get through college, well, film school and mortuary college. But
Yeah.
I know people in both fields who didn't necessarily take that route, and they're just as successful as some people who did. And so to me, it just
No, yeah.
depends on you, is what you want to do. Like, so to me, it's more about your journey, and about just your consistency in what you do, because that's really all that matters.
No, no, for sure, man. I mean, and that's one thing I always tell people, and not that I joke around about it, but it's just like I always tell people, I want to get it when my time comes. It's gonna be because of opportunity. Like I'm gonna jump on something where they're like, "Hey, we need somebody to do this." I'm gonna be like, "Boom!" Like I'll do it, and that's it. Like it's just gonna take that one chance for me to be able to prove myself, and for them to see it and be like, "Man, this guy, like, yeah, let's use this guy," because
Yeah,
I mean, there's times when we go out there filming, and it's like, I mean, not you've been there. They put you in the base camp, and you gotta wait, and it's like, okay, you know what, man, like, I mean, but for me, every time I jump on projects, like they keep using me, they keep bringing me out and keep bringing me out, and I'm like, dude, I want that. Like I'm here, like put me to work, man. Like
yeah,
and
because you
that's
know
the
what? Because at one part I was kind of like, kind of, working on some different things. So like me, I wasn't like really pushing the issue, because I'm in the process of, setting up to kind of be based out of California as well. So kind of, doing a thing, living in Chicago, Heights rather, but also kind of setting up base in California as well, because I went and got my ranger certification in California. I got to take care of some more business to get my actual funeral director license there as well. But it's a little bit different. But to me, I just tell people that you just got to trust the way that you believe God is, because a lot of people like, you know, you're going to California for film. Not necessarily. It's
Yeah.
more to California than just filmmaking. By the way, I think a
Yeah.
lot of people don't understand that. But to me, you just have to trust the path that God is leading you down, and just even when other people don't understand, you have to trust
Yeah.
the vision that you've been given, because your career
Yeah.
depends on you. You know, like I said, with the time that God has given us, we have to use it wisely. And sometimes you have to move around quite a bit sometimes to help make some things happen for yourself. Because again, nobody is sitting there waiting on us to walk through the door and say, "I'm here." No, we have to actually put in the work and do the work ourselves to make things happen. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some people who might have been handed opportunities, and I'm happy for them as well. But
Yeah.
to me, it's nothing like the opportunities that you take and that you actually put in the work for, because to me, I feel like I appreciate it a lot more,
Yeah.
because I know where I came from and how long it took me. That's why I tell people, never compare yourself to anybody, because you can look at people and say, "Oh man, they got this and got that," but trust me, life is more than things, because even the most successful people sometimes will tell you they don't even, like, I was listening to one filmmaker, I forgot her name, but she just like got a whole lot of achievements, and she was just talking about how like she didn't feel really successful yet. And so to me, it's like, that's why I always say never compare yourself to anybody, because again, it's a journey more so than it is a
Yeah.
destination.
No, yeah, and
We're
I
always
think that. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
it's
sorry.
it's always more pinnacles to reach.
Yeah, man, and it's kind of it's true because it's like me. Like, I mean, if say next year they're like, hey, you know what, you got a character, you're gonna get dialogue, you're on this whatever show's famous at that time, right? Like, I don't think I'd be like, oh man, like I made it, because I still want to do more. Like, it's like I'm like, dude, I'm not done. Like, I want to keep jumping on everything. I mean,
Yeah.
but there's a lot. Like I said, I mean, there's a couple of projects already next year that I'm locked in on, and I'm looking forward to. And it's just like, I mean, whatever happens in between, and opportunities come, and I'm given. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna take them. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna go 100%. I'm gonna go and take it seriously. And go out there and perform and just knock it out, man. But you know, um, let me ask you this, man, and this is before we wrap this up, brother, because it's been a great conversation. But let me ask you, when it comes to being a filmmaker, like, what are two things you would tell people that are looking to get into this business that they'd have to take, like a do's and don'ts? Like, what are some don'ts, like in the film business? Would you say?
That's a great. I would say this, and my
Yeah.
one big note is don't compare yourself. I can't harp on that enough. But also, I would say it's like, don't feel like your vision doesn't matter, because
Ooh,
the one thing that makes anybody's work unique is that it's their work. And so to me, if you're making a movie that you already seen before, to me that's not the movie that you should be making.
yeah,
I think it's so important to tell the kind of stories that matter to you. So don't water down your story because somebody else doesn't like it or they don't care. Because a lot of the best movies that have been made and the best series that have been made actually came from the ones that some studios actually turned down.
yeah,
Because I think that, don't get me wrong, because I love being a filmmaker, but I think that the indie scene to me has a lot more potential
yeah,
than, to me, and I'm not being funny when I say that, but like I just think that it's like, don't just like, focus on mainstream media. Like to me, it's important to focus on the vision that you have and tell the narratives and the story that you like to tell, because
yeah,
that's what makes you an artist, right? Like you're
yeah,
creating something that you're passionate about, you know, like for instance, Stranger Things, right? Is out. A lot of people love it, but that was somebody's imagination.
yeah,
So to me, I think that it's important to tell the type of stories that you are passionate about and
yeah.
that you love, as opposed to trying to mimic what you already see. Because
No,
don't get me wrong, like, mainstream media knows how to sell, knows how to, knows how those things. But to me, I think it's so important to be an organic artist. I think to me, I'm one of those people that values, like, just being an artist, period. Like to me, I'm more passionate about making the stuff that I like, because it's my vision, it's the way that I relate to reality in life. So I think to me, and even in any business, I always tell people, you know, I'm more of an educator than a salesman. So, don't get me wrong, there are some people that are great at sales, and that's a great skill as well. But to me, I think it's so important to really care about what you do, because to me, educating people and encouraging people, you know, I don't get me wrong. I'm gonna make my money by the grace of God, but at the same time, to me, I value being a true and pure artist over anything, because at the end of the day, yeah, I don't want to water down my creativity, just for cash flow. It's
No,
because
it's true,
because
man.
because to me, I think, like, I think people can tell when you do that anyway, because like I said, because you can fudge numbers. You know what I'm saying? You can make things appear bigger than they really are. But to me, when you're an artist that really care about what you do, it doesn't matter if 5 people watch it or 7 people watch it or 7 million watch it. Like, you're not making it just for people, just so people can watch it. You're making it just because that's what you want to do. To me,
No,
it's
that's
not
true,
it's not
man.
always about creating a fan base, because if nobody don't cheerlead me on, I
Yeah.
appreciate the people who support me and I thank God for them. But if nobody cheerlead me on, I've been doing what I've been doing almost the last 9 years as far as filming. So whether people were watching me or not, I've been doing this, and so why would I stop? You know. So I think to, like, not let numbers stop you, because I think it's just so important to stay true to who you are and just have fun with it. Like,
Yeah.
that's the most important thing. Like, because again, there's people who you look up to, who, like you said, we're looking at people like, oh man, they got this and got that. But to me, a lot of the artists will tell you that they feel more successful when they make the things that they enjoy making.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, because
Yeah.
sometimes making the money and creating what you really like and are passionate about is two different things. So to me, I like to just, make what I enjoy making, and
Yeah.
just, it's more fun that way,
No, no, it's just true. I mean, there's I keep saying, when it comes to indie filmmaking, I like it because there's a lot of creative freedom. You can kind of like, man, you know what? The way I envision it is this, this, and this. So hey, whatever budget we have, let's make it happen, or let's get close to it. But I mean, of course, when it comes to like watering down projects, like yes, like there's stuff that I've jumped on, like everything I've jumped on, I've enjoyed. I'll say it 100%. And but there's uh parts, or there's projects that I'm like, like I wasn't interested in, and I was just like, respectfully, I'm like, man, I can't do it, or I can't do it at the time, or whatever. But it's just because I'm at that point where I'm like, dude, I mean, I don't want to jump on every project that gets thrown at me, but if it's something that I'm like, oh man, I want to do that, or I want to play that character, or I want to see what I can do with it, and that's it. But yeah, man, I mean, when it comes to like fan films and indie films, like I got a couple of stuff that I'm going to be working on with a buddy of mine here, locally, Albert, right? And it's like, yeah, like I want to have fun with it, dude. I definitely want to have fun with it. Like I said, if I'm not happy where I'm at, I'm not going to be there. So if there's people that are, hey, I don't see you, whatever, that's because I don't want to be there, man. Plain and simple. I just don't want to do that anymore. Like, I mean, when it comes to these opportunities, I mean, I'll take them, but it's like, I want to have fun with everything I'm doing, because otherwise it'll be boring, man. Like, well, why am I going to be
Yeah,
somewhere I don't want to, especially if getting paid? I'm like, I get that, but it's like, nah, man. Like, I want to enjoy everything I'm doing from now on, man. Like whatever projects, whatever opportunities. Like I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give it 100% and just smile the whole time, unless it's not in the script, of course. But
yeah, like yesterday, like, kind of being on the set of PD again. It
yeah,
was more of a quick day because we only did a photo yesterday, and I was like, because I like lately I've been used to getting there at 6 in the morning and getting off at 12 or 1 in the morning. So
yeah,
I'm like, but I enjoy every moment of it, because it's nice connecting with people and just,
yeah,
having fun, because that is what I went to school for, and that is what I enjoy doing. And so to me, it's just,
yeah,
I take it as an honor and privilege just to be doing something that I'm very passionate about. And just like I said, the most fun part is just connecting with people
yeah.
and meeting people, man. It's a lot of fun, because every face there's a story behind each and every person. And so it's funny though now, because like after you've been doing it quite a while, you kind of start seeing the same people out the while. Like, hey, you were just
Yes,
the same
yes,
last week.
dude.
How you
Like,
doing? So
yeah,
yeah, it's just a lot of fun, man. And
yeah.
I'm just grateful to God, man, that I'm able to wake up every day and just do what I love, man. It's no better feeling than to be doing that.
No, no, for sure, man. And that's one of the things too, because it is like a reunion. You know, you get to meet people you've worked with before, and you're like, oh man, like it kind of relaxes you. They're like, oh, dude, what's up? Like you're back. Hey, I haven't seen you. You know, and it's like it's a kinship. It's a little friendship that you developed, and it's just like, I mean, makes me feel more comfortable because I'm with, you know what I mean. Like I kind of, you know, when I get there, I start talking to people, or like I try to like just um break the ice and just start, you know, connecting with certain people because I don't know who they're gonna put us with when it's go time, you know. And if it's somebody that I'm for the
Yeah.
most part, it's worked out that way because they always like, oh, you two, well, you know what, I'll keep you two together. I'm like, all right, cool, man. So we kind of already talked and we're, you know, laughing it up and just having fun. And you know, this past one that I did this past week, man, like it was fun. You know, the guy that I worked with actually turned out to be from San Antonio. So I said, oh, I was like, dude, I'm right
Okay.
there, bro. You know, but
I
he's a
think
good dude.
I think so far one of the first memorable um shoots that I've been on was like, I can't give out no spoilers,
Yeah,
whether I'm seen or not. So, but I'll just say this, like we did do one scene that was really kind of nice that I really had fun with, but we didn't get done till like 3 a.m. the next day. So that was like that was a lot. That was a whole lot of fun, man. And but like I said, like it's just fun meeting people and connecting with so many different artists, and that's why like I've been doing a lot of talking to different journalists lately, and one of the things that I've been trying to do is that I talk to quite a few journalists from the New York Times to the Chicago
right?
Sun Times. Look, I've been talking to some of everybody, but one of my main goals is because, like, a lot of times when we look at the news, there's a lot of bad news,
Yeah,
and this has just really been one of my pet peeves. It's like from being a person in the funeral business, when you see somebody, and unfortunately in tragedy, you hear so much about people in tragedy, but I'm kind of trying to motivate a different narrative, so
yeah,
to kind of like, get some random people and talk about the good things because there are so many talented people all over the United States and even in other countries, from
yeah,
India to Saudi Arabia to Africa to China. There's so many wonderful people out here in the world that are doing some unique things and have very unique stories. Like, why not tell those stories, kind of in a good way? Because again, like, it's I understand the news job is to inform us, but it's like everything don't have to be so dreary and negative. Like,
yeah,
why not talk about the good stuff? Because even meeting the different actors that I've met, and even in the pro wrestling business, the different and up and coming people there's so many people out here who have some very beautiful stories to tell.
yeah.
Why not tell those stories? Like, I think we need some good news too,
Yeah.
I
No,
don't
that's
know if
cool.
you ever seen the Wiz with Michael Jackson.
Yes, yes,
So
bro.
the Wicked Witch, right? It's funny because the Wicked Witch had a song, "Don't Nobody Bring Me No Bad News," but that's kind of how I feel. Like, like bring me some good news.
Yeah,
It's like it's a lot of talented people, especially even here in Chicago, right? There's so many people that I've went to high school with and elementary school with who are also like, I celebrate everybody because everybody is somebody. And if you give them a chance, I'm pretty sure we would get a chance to see so many extraordinary people out here that's doing wonderful things. So to me, I'm just trying to encourage them to kind of, put some good stuff. Like, we don't just need all this, like it's, like I
all
said, the
that.
world is not a bad place. It's just
No,
sometimes people do bad things, but we have the power to change the narrative. And I'm
no,
hoping that
no.
we do that.
We do, man, and that's the thing, you know. But I mean, it's just like you said. I mean, when it comes to like, you know, like for me at work, like that, tell me something good. I mean, I think it's a great thing, man. And I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy when we do it because it's like people are like, oh, you know, I just finished a semester in college. You know, hey, I'm visiting my grandkids, and I'm like, dude, that's good stuff. I'm like, yeah, bro, like, you know, let's hear about that, man. Let's hear about,
I
you
gotta
know,
I
spending time
gotta
with your
listen
loved
to
ones.
I gotta listen to that song "Tell Me Something Good" after this interview now, because I haven't heard that one in a good while. But it's like, yeah, like it's time that we kind of, because like I said, we do have the power as people to do some things. Like, a lot of people don't realize that, that we do have some say so it matters, but we have to just understand that we have a lot of more power than we think. I
Oh yeah,
think it's just one of those things sometimes where it's like we get so much negative stuff thrown at us to where, like, and
yeah,
and I was just listening to a podcast the other day that said something that was really profound. Like, they were saying that, like, one of the number one sellers, especially in media, is fear. It's
Yeah.
like, it's crazy that, like, it's so much fear and negativity out here. And again, why waste 10, 20 minutes of your God-given time on something that you don't care about, something that you don't like? I do understand we got to be aware of the times we live in and things
Oh
going on
yeah.
in the world. But other than that, spend your time focusing on something that you enjoy and love. Because trust me, when our time is up, we're going to wish we use like, I don't want to live with no regrets. So I'm not spending 15 minutes on something that I don't care about, or something that makes, like, it's pointless.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
pointless.
yeah. Just swipe,
It's
man. You're like, keep going.
Yeah, it's like it's
No, yeah. You see,
perspective
that's
is a
the thing. I
powerful
mean,
thing.
yeah, yeah. That's the thing. We I mean, each their own. But yeah, man. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and argue with somebody that I'll never see, or who fake profile, fake. I'm like, bro. Like, I keep moving, man. And I see it, and I'll post something, and you'll get like responses, and I'm like, whatever, man. Like, I don't care. I don't even
sometimes,
respond,
sometimes,
dude.
sometimes I be looking in the comments, and I'm not, like, I'm talking about, like, other people. Like, I see people comment, and everybody got it right. It's freedom of speech or whatever we want to call it. But to me, why use your free speech on something that you don't really like? Because it's not going to change anything. Like,
No.
people are gonna do what they want to do.
Yeah.
And so it's a waste of my time to focus on what somebody else is doing,
Yeah.
because I need my time that God give me to live my life. So why
I'm
waste
not.
it on something?
I'm
It's like
not what
I just never understood that, to be honest.
no, yeah, man. It's better to go out there and
It
work on.
must be I always say it must be very important to people to focus on stuff they don't like.
Oh yeah. I mean, by all means, man. Like, I just I wanna do stuff. I said, you keep arguing. I'm gonna work on this, man. I'll be over here filming or working on something, man. But yes, bro. But my man, I do want to thank you. Thank you, Wade, for jumping on this, bro. It's been a pleasure, and of course, I'd love to have you back on here, my man. Now, when it comes to projects, I mean, what is it? Do you have anything you're working on right now?
Yeah, so currently I'm actually working on my pro wrestling documentary that I plan to release, God willing, next year. It's gonna be nice. I have one of my former trainers, Steve Boss, in the documentary, also a
Sweet.
fellow professional wrestler, Lulu. That's my girl there. She's very lovely, a beautiful person. She's gonna be in the documentary, and some other people. So it's nice. I also have a ring announcer by the name of Wade, my other Wade, the other Wade. But it's it's really cool just to help people tell their stories, man. And, like, honestly, I've made a lot of narrative films, but I really love documentaries. And
Yeah.
so, God willing, next year I'm gonna focus more on documentaries. Like, I also did a
Sweet.
pro. I was about to say pro. I got pro wrestling stuck in my head. I need to get back in the ring, but but I also have another documentary that I've been working on for quite a while, based off my web series, because I'm like, why not tell the story along the way? So we screened it at the Music Box Theater, kind of like a teaser of it. And
Yeah.
I'm grateful to everybody who came out. But I'm gonna finish that documentary, and I'm still working on that. So I got two documentaries: the one about my web series, and the
Yeah.
one about pro wrestling. And hopefully, by the grace of God, I'll do more documentaries. But I'm moving in the direction of making documentaries, because to me, I love narrative filmmaking, but I love documentary filmmaking so much better, because it's nice to meet people and tell good stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody has ups and downs in life, but we don't have to stay with the downs. Like, it's
Yeah.
kind of nice to pick, everything doesn't have to be so dark and dreary. Like, give the world some inspiration and hope, at least.
Yeah, no, it's true, man, and I like that because it's true. I mean, there's so much stuff. I mean, nobody knows, like, when somebody how people got up there. Nobody knows like what they went through. Everybody's like, oh, he just woke up one day, he's a millionaire, and like, no, man, like I had to, work 5 jobs, and I had to do this, and I had to, missing days, missing, family because you're working, you're hustling, you're traveling, whatever the case. So I mean, that's a good thing. People
Yeah,
definitely need to hear about that.
I borrowed this quote from one of my former pastors. He used to always say, "Don't walk around singing nobody know the trouble you see,"
Ooh, I
because
like that
because
one.
because everybody's been through something, and that's not to downplay that, because we all can be helpers one to another and love one another. Again, we all may have different beliefs and share different opinions, but at the end of the day, it's important to be there for people, show grace, show love, and just show compassion, man. Because again, we all may not always agree or believe the same things, but it's still important to treat people as human beings because we all are human.
Yeah.
And so just showing compassion, man, is a beautiful thing.
No, no, for sure, man. And dude, I thank you, brother. Thank you for sharing everything. I've got some new words I'm gonna be using. But for everybody out there, man. But yeah, for everybody out there, of course, once again, thank you, Wait. Thank you everybody that
Anytime.
tagged along, hung out. Don't hang up yet, my man. Everybody out there, of course, once again, Spider here, coming soon podcast. So next time, follow up.